Welcome. If you're watching this, you've likely paused your endless scrolling for a moment, seeking something real. Take a breath. We live in an era defined by noise. Every screen we touch demands our attention, our outrage, or our relentless productivity. In response to this pressure, a new internet religion has emerged. You've seen the videos, the dark aesthetic, the promise of becoming an untouchable, emotionless machine. The internet has hijacked an ancient philosophy and sold it back to you as a superpower for dominating others and feeling nothing. They tell you that to survive, you must become a stone. If you are betrayed, do not flinch. If you fail, do not grieve. If the pressure of this hyper-competitive world is crushing you, you must simply grit your teeth and endure it in silence. As a philosopher, I am here to tell you this is not wisdom. This is emotional suicide wrapped in the illusion of strength. Today, we are going to dismantle the great lie of modern Stoicism. We will look into the minds of the actual ancient Greeks, not the caricatures sold to you in short clips, but the living, flawed humans who forged these ideas. We will discover why true philosophical strength is not found in the suppression of your humanity, but in the total embrace of it. Let us begin with a dangerously mistranslated word, apatheia. When modern gurus preach Stoicism, they tell you to seek apathy, to literally not care, to build a fortress around your heart. But the ancient Greeks did not mean numbness when they spoke of apatheia. For them, apatheia meant freedom from irrational passions, not the elimination of feeling itself. It meant not being a slave to destructive impulses. When a storm hits, you do not let the wind rip the steering wheel from your hands. But it never meant pretending the rain doesn't make you cold. Ask yourself why this hyper-masculine, emotionless version of Stoicism is so popular right now. It is because the algorithms that rule our lives thrive on extremes. They cannot monetize a balanced, thoughtful human being who is at peace with their own flaws, but they can absolutely monetize your insecurity. They sell you a disease, the feeling that you are not tough enough, not successful enough, not stoic enough, and then they sell you the cure, a course on how to become a ruthless, unfeeling machine. But true philosophy has never been something you can buy. It is something you must practice in the quiet, unglamorous moments of your everyday life. Think about the psychological toll of pretending to be a machine. When you suppress your grief over a loss or your frustration at a blocked project, that energy doesn't evaporate. It sinks into your body, fermenting into anxiety, bitterness, and eventually, depression. The internet calls crying a weakness, but true philosophy requires radical honesty. If you are hurt, you must look at the wound. To deny your pain is to deny reality. To understand how to navigate our emotions, we must look beyond the Stoics and turn to Aristotle. He gave us the concept of the golden mean, the idea that virtue lies between two extremes. Take courage, for example. On one extreme is cowardice, on the other is recklessness. Courage is the tightrope walk in the middle. Now apply this to how we create today. You might be trying to build something of your own, a business, art, or a voice in the world. On one extreme, hustle culture screams at you to grind until you bleed, leading to burnout. On the other, the modern illusion of detachment whispers that nothing matters, leading to apathy. Aristotle believed in eudaimonia, human flourishing, and flourishing is an action. It is the pursuit of excellence for the fulfillment of your own potential. To create something meaningful requires passion. You cannot make great art or foster deep relationships with a cold, mechanical heart. You must allow yourself to care, knowing it makes you vulnerable to disappointment. That is the Aristotelian balance, engaging passionately with the world, while accepting you cannot control the outcome. But what about the fear of judgment, the paralyzing anxiety of what others will think if we fail? For this, we summon the spirit of Diogenes the cynic. Diogenes lived in a barrel in the marketplace of Athens. He owned nothing but a cloak, a stick, and a wooden bowl until he saw a child drinking water from his hands and threw the bowl away, declaring it a luxury. He was not a cold, unfeeling Sigma male. He was provocative and intensely alive. He mocked the powerful and famously told Alexander the Great to step out of his sunlight. Diogenes teaches us something profound about social anxiety. We spend our lives curating our image, building a psychological prison out of the perceived expectations of strangers. He realized that the rules of society are mostly absurd illusions. The moment you stop taking your ego so seriously, you become untouchable. True freedom is found in the willingness to look foolish. You don't need to dominate a room if you genuinely do not care about its hierarchy. Yet, even with Aristotle's balance and Diogenes' freedom, life will still bring us to our knees. Tragedies will strike, and this is where we return to the real Stoicism. Look at Marcus Aurelius, the Emperor of Rome. Today, his journal, Meditations, is treated like a technical manual for businessmen. But Marcus wrote those words for himself, in the dead of night, on the frontiers of a brutal war. He was surrounded by plague, watched his children die, and dealt with constant betrayals. Remember the famous passage where he tells himself that today he will meet people who are meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. He doesn't say this to build resentment or to assert his dominance over them. He says it to prepare his own heart for patience. He reminds himself that these people act this way out of ignorance. He doesn't seek to crush them. He seeks to avoid being corrupted by them, recognizing his shared humanity. Reading his journal closely, you do not hear an emotionless robot. You hear an exhausted, grieving human being trying desperately to hold himself together. When he writes about the brevity of life, he is trying to calm his own racing mind. He struggled to get out of bed in the morning, writing entire passages arguing with himself to throw off the blankets and do his duty. His strength was not that he felt nothing. His strength was that he felt everything: the terror, the grief, the exhaustion, and he chose to act with virtue anyway. He allowed the emotions to pass through him, but he did not let them sit on the throne of his mind. So, where does this leave us in our hyper-connected world? You can follow the trend. You can practice the toxic art of suppressing your humanity, hoping that if you become cold enough, life won't be able to burn you. But that armor will eventually become your coffin. You will survive, but you will not be alive. Or, you can choose the path of the true philosophers. Permit yourself to feel the depth of your existence. When you create, pour your soul into it. When you face loss, grieve with your whole heart. When you encounter absurdity, live with the reckless freedom of Diogenes. And when the burdens feel too heavy, remember the tired emperor in his tent, and remind yourself that it is okay to be exhausted, as long as you do not give up your humanity. Do not aim to be a stone. A stone cannot grow. Aim to be a tree, deeply rooted in your principles, swaying violently in the wind, but always reaching upward toward the light. Thank you for listening. If these thoughts resonated with you, consider subscribing. Until next time, stay grounded and stay human.